Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Scott K. So, Apple makes a lot of different things, right? From like useful creations to like some wild stuff too, like the new Vision Pro. As a PC guy, I often question some of their innovations. Did he just say he likes PCs? Oh, this idiot. Hey, how's my favorite content creator doing? You know, I saw that you mentioned you like PCs. I wish you had consulted me earlier, cause you're about to lose 31.8% of your viewers. But you know what, don't worry, I got this. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write an article, and then I'm gonna say you like PCs. Polycarbonate. Got you, fam. What an idiot. Where was I? Right, Apple and innovation. Innovative or not, we still have to give Apple credit for like a certain level of quality and material selection, especially when it comes down to like manufacturing of their products. And yes, you will absolutely pay for it with money. Now, I ran into a keyboard where like I opened up the box and thought right away, this kind of gives off Mac vibes. Also comes with a Mac price. Literally, this is the Type 1 by Artifact Industries, a custom mechanical keyboard that costs the same as a MacBook Air, so $1,000. You heard that right. But before you say WTF, also remember that Apple makes a monitor stand. Oh no, not the monitor, just the stand. That costs $1,000 also. Either you're thinking, the world has lost its mind, or hey, you might have found the perfect keyboard for your $12,000 Mac Pro. I think I'm just poor. So this is the Type 1, the $1,000 keyboard kit. Yes, you still have to build this thing yourself. This is probably the most expensive key of this kind I've shown on this channel. But why? Why is it so expensive, you ask? Well, I will attempt to answer that. So right off the bat, the box that the Type 1 comes in, it's pretty crazy. It's also loaded with a bunch of stuff. For example, these round things, I will get to that later. Everything is labeled nicely and just exudes premiumness. Of course it comes with a screwdriver, right? But not just any old screwdriver, that would be for peasants. It comes with a Slocky torque limiting screwdriver. I checked these out and they're like somewhere between $50 to $100 depending on which model, because $1,000. While the standard one Type 1 comes with an aluminum plate, this is the founding edition, so it also came with like optional carbon fiber plate as well, and like the interest check PC plate they threw in to get like my feedback and also your feedback as well prior to the launch. Okay, so pretty normal, right? Wrong. The plates were put under finite element analysis, FEA, to ensure flex and sound consistency. Okay, so the PCB now. It's a standard 1.6mm thickness PCB, right? But here, you see the overkillness of the Type 1 come out again. The PCB itself is a black core FR4 PCB, which is supposed to have better durability, better heat resistance, and also signal transmission. I mean, if you did FEA on your plates, of course you do something like this for your PCB also, right? You also have the standoffs built in, but no, but not those puny little brass ones. Nope. You got these beefy electroplated steel ones that were CNC'd. And of course, it's VIA and QMK compatible. One thing about the screws and the standoffs, every screw for this Type 1 is the same torque size. So, that one expensive screwdriver you got is enough for everything. Bam! Now you know why this is $1,000. Every one of these screws are also CNC machined and electroplated. So, now let's move on to the main affair, the case. Right off the bat, it has like a very Apple-like minimal look to it until, bam, this thing. What is this thing? So this is actually the part of the Type 1 that adjusts the height of the keyboard. So remember the other set that was in the box? You can like swap these out and either make the keyboard tall or short. So 4-degree typing angle or 8-degree typing angle. You simply push in and pull this thing out. And the wild thing about this is how precisely they had to machine these things to like make it fit this tight and still operate smoothly. When I pulled this guy out, the thing that immediately caught my eye was how like shiny and glistening this thing was. Apparently it's sandblasted celestial silver finish. I mean, it's still anodized, but how they treated it, it looks like raw aluminum and not at the same time. The edges are micro groove treated with these like fine lines, and this thing just catches light and shines when the light like hits it. There really isn't much embellishments to this case, with the exception of like the laser engraved artifact logo in the front right, and also the accent lighting on the front left, which by the way, apparently can be adjusted to 65,535 different color shades. Yes, I know, it's excessive. Finally, it's also a screw-free look design, which means like the case screws are located around the inner perimeter of the case. So from the outside, there's no visible screws to this design. Wait, where's the foam though? Well, I will get to that. But before we do, a quick word from our sponsor today, PCBWay. PCBWay is an online service that helps you print PCBs, do 3D printing, or even CNC machining. If you're an aspiring keyboard designer or whatever else designer, you can take your design and simply upload it to get something made quick. Or, if you have the source code for a PCB that you already have and you need a replacement, you can also get that done as well. They can handle all types of PCBs from your simple single layer designs to multi-layer stacks. Beyond PCBs, if you want to try making your own case, PCBWay can machine that as well. Now, a very exciting new service that PCBWay offers, OEM. Instead of just making a single component, you can actually task PCBWay to be an OEM manufacturer and make the whole thing. They can do anything from PCBs to CNC cases to even assembly. And using global manufacturing, they can offer very competitive prices. Is there a keyboard on the horizon? Well, check out OEM at PCBWay. Okay, so this keyboard does have foam. It's just this right here. A thin little case foam that goes right under the PCB. Is that it? Well, kind of, except this. So instead of foam, the Type 1 uses this, an injection molded, dense silicone mid-plate insert. This thing is heavy. It's not like a flexible, soft silicone. It's actually thick and kind of stiff and really dense. Not only that, it's custom formed so that the PCB, the insert, and the plate all kind of snap in together. The machining and manufacturing of all of this stuff must have been a pain. But the overall results are pretty fantastic in my opinion. Everything just kind of fits in like a puzzle. You don't have to force anything. Now, how does this all come together? Well, the Type 1 is not a gasket mounted keyboard. It's also not a top mounted keyboard. It's kind of like a hybrid. They call it a suspended isolation mount. It's essentially a floating top mount design. So it uses these little silicone grommets that like fit onto the plate itself like this. Then you have these limiting screws that ensure a certain amount of spacing is there in between for the grommet to kind of freely operate. The result is a pretty decent flex and really nice solid stability. The installation is pretty similar to how like a top mount keyboard will work, right? You just mount it onto the top of the case. Now, the weird. So the keyboard is kind of built upside down. Once you unscrew everything, the bottom of the case like falls out. If you could even call it the bottom case. It's just like a cover essentially. The whole thing kind of looks like a building when it's like taken apart. It's very architectural. Even the USB connector slides in, and I honestly don't even know how they got the tolerance settings so tight like this that it fits so tight without any gaps, right? But it's so smooth when it slides in. Put everything together and throw on some switches. For switches, I felt like the ball bearing switches seemed pretty appropriate for this build. I mean, if the keyboard went that far, might as well grab the most complicated switches as well. These are the roller linears by KBDFans. These are very smooth and have fantastic sound right out of the box. So the first build is the PC plate, you know, the feeler one, with the roller linears. Some Kinetic Lab seals to throw it on, right? I thought it matched pretty well, so let's check it out. That has a very clean and crisp sound. I mean, I guess the FEA analysis worked, right? Very even sounding. No sign of pinging or hollowness or anything weird like that. It just works. It's a very snappy sound signature even with a PC plate. I feel like it borderlines stock, but not quite crosses over to it. Since the PC plate is a feeler, let me know in the comments below whether you want this as an option or not. They're still kind of contemplating it. Okay, since I did build that first one with the softer PC plate, what about the second one with the stiff carbon fiber plate? I also threw on a set of white on black, so it looks like a MacBook Pro keyboard kind of. Let's check it out. Okay, so that is actually my favorite in terms of sound. It's slightly clackier, but I think it sounds cleaner and has a sound profile that like other higher end boards typically have. As you expect, you lose some of the flex, right, because carbon fiber is stiffer, but the grommets still dampen fine. So overall, this thing pretty much did everything well, very well. But it's not perfect. For something this pricey, I wish it had a few more layout options, right? Like stepped caps or like 6.25U spacebar. I also wish this came with like another color option as well, like space gray or something like that. Speaking of options, would you like to see the Type 1 created in brass, copper, or even stainless steel? What about like other form factors like a 60% or a 65%? Let me know in the comments below and I will let the Artifact Industries team know. So, the Type 1 by Artifact Industries, the keyboard that took 3 years to come to fruition, apparently because they couldn't find a manufacturer to do all the stuff they wanted. It makes total sense now, like being able to have that tight tolerance, right? What is my thought on this keyboard? Well, I can see why it's $1,000. They went above and beyond like to perfect this thing. Like it borderlines excessive. But what you end up with is something like a brainchild of a German Taiwan team that wrote like no compromises on their wall. That probably also used $12,000 Mac Pros to design this as well. Once complete, the Type 1 felt more like equipment rather than like a keyboard. But have to keep in mind that this thing is $1,000, limited to 350 units, sold through a raffle kind of equipment. It's definitely not for everyone. But you know what? If you cared to watch this video to this point, perhaps it was designed for someone like you. As usual, it's your money and you choose how to spend it. For me, it'll be my daily driver for a while since, you know what? Having it on my desk, it makes me feel fancy. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.